Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin chart and do some technical analysis. After this drop we've had, we're going to look at, are we going to go lower or are we going to bounce from here? We'll look at some possible levels where we might go to. Let's get into the charts. So we're going to start on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. And we broke above this triangle pattern here and we did have this big run up, and now we're getting a pullback. And if we zoom in here, we can see that we've broken this blue trend line here where we were bouncing off this on the way to the peak, and we did get support once and then we did break through it here, and now we're coming back down again. So I do have the Fibonacci tool here just from the bottom to the top. We can see initially we fell to the 382 level and bounced, and now we've fallen further, broken that down to the 0.5 level and also had a bounce. And we do like to usually come down to this golden pocket area here, the 0.618 level. And I do have this yellow trend line here drawn also just catching the bottoms. So if we were to drop further, this is a possible area that we might bounce, and this would be around 59,280. This is also close to the golden pocket area, which would be at 59,030. It would also line up with the top of this triangle pattern here, just connecting the tops. So around this area there are sort of 3 points of confluence there. So I am looking at that as a possibility. It doesn't have to come down there. We could bounce here and carry higher. If we were to break this trend line, I would expect that we would test all-time highs again. So just zooming in a bit further here, I do have these purple lines drawn here, these diagonal purple lines. And this is just basically going from the top to the bottom here where we did get the bounce. And all of these lines are the same length. So this is an AB equals CD pattern. So just taking it from the next top, and we can see it did come down exactly to where we did bounce. So this AB equals CD pattern did play out. I'm just thinking now maybe if this drop isn't finished, we might come all the way back up here to test the top of this trend line. And if we were to get rejected, we might play out this AB equals CD pattern again here. And this would also line up with this yellow trend line and also this white trend line here connecting the bottoms. And again, that's around 59,300. And if I were to pull up the volume profile here, this is just the amount of volume traded at a set price level or within a price level range. We can see that the maximum amount of volume here was at around 58,900, and this is exactly at this golden pocket area. So there are quite a few points of confluence here. So if I wasn't in a trade at the moment, I probably would look to get into a trade down at this area just by layering buy orders around 59.4 down to 58.7. So just looking at the EMA ribbon now, this is on the 4-hour chart. And just zooming in here, we can see during this run up, this acted as support, and then we dropped into the ribbon. We did drop below the ribbon, but the bodies of the candles are just hanging on at the bottom here, and we have come back up into the ribbon. And I think if we can get above the top of this ribbon around 62,160 and open and close a 4-hour candle above it, then I think we may go higher. And if we were to break this ribbon here, then I think we might come down a bit further, possibly to this white trend line support here, which would be around that golden pocket area from the previous chart, around 58.9. So upon breaking that ribbon and opening and closing a 4-hour candle below it, I would look for us to get support here on this daily ribbon, with the top of the ribbon being around 59.4. So I would place my first long trade on the top of this ribbon, because sometimes we do just bounce off the top of it before going higher. But placing it in that range with that golden pocket, there are quite a few signs that there would be support there. And I would like to point out that we did bounce off this blue line here, which acted as resistance several times here before we broke it with this big green candle. So previous resistance tends to turn into new support. And this was quite strong resistance here for a while. So I do expect this to act as support. and we could get a wick down into those areas we spoke about, but with the body of the candle closing above this line, and I would expect that at a minimum on a 4-hour. And looking at the daily chart here, we can see that we are in this rising wedge pattern, and currently we're sort of in the middle of it. We didn't come all the way to the top and we haven't come down to the bottom yet. But if we were to come down, say after the new daily candle opens, this would be around 58.2. But perhaps this might take several days to play out here before coming down to this trend line. We also do have this triangle pattern here on the RSI drawn, and we can see we also didn't come to the top of this line, and we are coming down now, and we can see this volume trend drawn down here. I'm still waiting for a break of this trend line on the volume to dictate a clear direction and be confident that we are going to keep going in that direction for a while. And this actually goes back to pretty much the start of the year. And these sort of lines of resistance on the volume, they tend to like to break out around 75% of the way into the triangle. So we are pretty much at that level now. So I would be expecting a break of this on the volume sometime maybe over next week. And I think this will probably correspond with breaking this triangle here, and possibly also this triangle. We are still getting these bearish divergences here, so lower lows on the RSI and higher highs on the price action, leading to this drop. So we really do need to break this bearish divergence pattern that we've been having several times here. We can see ever since this point we've had lower lows on the RSI consecutively and higher highs on the price action. And just looking on the CME Bitcoin futures chart, I've got a similar thing drawn here with this rising wedge pattern, although on the RSI we did break above this trend line, and perhaps we are coming back to test it as support, although we can see the stochastic RSI is quite high and angled down. So I would like to see the stochastic RSI bounce off this trend line and perhaps coincide with the top of this trend line. And we do also have this gap here on the CME futures chart. These don't have to get filled, of course, and we do have some that haven't been filled, but we should still be aware of them. And we did come quite close to this gap here. So this gap is around 59,435. So perhaps when we open tomorrow's daily candle, we might drop down here and fill this gap and also bounce off this white trend line. Just looking at this previous gap here, we didn't fill this one, so as I said, they don't have to be filled. And just looking more long term, this is on the weekly chart. It just shows this level of resistance here that we broke up above, and we're also in a similar rising wedge pattern here drawn on the weekly. We're also in this channel here on the weekly RSI. We were quite overbought here. We got up to a 95 level, and since then we've been winding our way down. The price action has still been going up, and we also had this bearish divergence here with the tops there and the lower highs on the RSI. This can be seen as just a cooling off on the indicator while the price action is still going up, ready for it to have room to go back up again. And we do see with the stochastic RSI, it did completely cool off here after being overbought for quite a while. And if we can just get a uptrend on this weekly, we will have plenty of room to go up, and I think that'll be the next major run as we climb higher to new all-time highs, which could last several weeks. As we can see here previously, when we were completely cooled off on the stochastic RSI around September of last year, we did go up on this run for several months. So I do think this slowing down on the price action is good for Bitcoin, because it is letting these indicators cool off, ready to load up again for the next parabolic move upwards. And just a quick look at the Pi cycle top indicator that I did modify so it was accurate to the day at the previous 3 peaks. I did find several solutions that did pick the peaks exact to the day. If I turn them all on here, you can see there's 5 here, and I did find 2 more. but I'm just basically using the highest one and the lowest one, and the others lie in this range. So if we were to look at the two white lines here, they are just under $5,000 apart, and the two blue lines here are $4,500 apart. So just a quick update on that. And just looking on Bybit here, I've just got a fib drawn here from the previous peak here to the low, and I'm just looking for this bounce back up, perhaps to this 786 level. And if we get rejected, I think we might be coming back down to that original area I spoke about, which is this golden pocket area here. And it's also the top of the triangle, as I mentioned, and also this white trend line going all the way back from the start of the year, just connecting the bottoms here. And they do intersect at a similar point here, which we did talk about in that first chart. And this is also just that AB equals CD pattern if we went up to the 786 level. So how am I playing this? Well, I am still in a trade. It's at 57,900. I have been riding this trade. Originally it was down here at 52,000 and took profits along the way here, added more on this drop, took some profits here. I did manage to sell 10% of it up around the 64,000 level, and then I did sell more on the way down here as we did come down. So I will be selling a bit more here if we do break down here, even though I do think we are going to get a bounce in this golden pocket area. I will take some of the profits off here and add more in this area. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that analysis. We'll have to keep watching the charts, see how it plays out. And I'm Bitcoin Mamo. See you next time. Bye.